Okay, good morning. I am so excited. This is another one of the cup of tea and a chat with integrity people. Now, this young man here, well, he was young when I last saw him. He's still, look at him, look, he's a good looking chap, look. This is Gwion Jacob, and Gwion lives in Thailand, and I used to teach Gwion back in the days, teaching Taekwondo. So, sir, welcome from all of us at Integrity Martial Arts. We're all so excited to hear from you and to learn from you. So, welcome. So
Malcolm.
that's all right. I don't really know where to begin, Gwion. You've had such an amazing career already.
Yes.
So where did it all start for you?
Okay, well, sorry, let me just adjust my fans blowing on me. Yeah. So really, this my story begins probably when I was about 6 years old. So that would have been like 1983, 84. My dad showed me the Bruce Lee movies. He showed me Enter the Dragon, and he showed me Big Boss. And I think that was where the original spark came. My mum and my dad separated, unfortunately, around that time, maybe a little bit before that, I think. And so my mum moved from Bath with my dad, and she moved to a small town called Blandford Forum. And I was telling my mum, "Oh, mum, this guy Bruce Lee, this amazing Asian martial arts guy that can fight against anyone, that can stand up to all kind of fear and all kind of like bad elements in the world. I want to be like that." And the feeling was so strong inside me, and it gave me a faith and a belief that if you train and if you have the right teacher, then you could become fearless. You could overcome any obstacle, and you could live a great life. And so that feeling inside of me led me to one day being with my mum, going to get groceries in Blandford. I think it was in the Safeways, something like that. And I walked past, and there was a sign in the window for Taekwondo. TAGB Taekwondo on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think, at 5 p.m. at the local leisure centre. And I was like, Mum, look at this. I think it was about £4.50, £5 a month or something at that time. Because this this would have been in about 1986, Malcolm.
Yeah.
So back then, maybe the monthly training fees, okay, maybe £6-7 a month there. But anyway, my mum didn't have the money. I kept hassling her. Somehow she managed to find the way to rustle up some funds from my rich uncle. And so I was taken to my first class with you. And that was my origins. And that's where it all began with you in Blandford at that sports centre in 1986.
Wow, I remember it. I mean, the only person that would remember you, I'm not sure if you can remember him, is Richard Winton.
Yes.
Can you remember? Because
last night I finally realised that he's on my Facebook, and I didn't realise, and I found him last night. So so that's all just tidy up for me. Yeah, that connection.
Yeah, and Richard would have been, he would have been in his 20s. He would have been in his 20s, same as I was. But because I talked to him about you all the time. And they said, he said, oh yeah, I remember Gwion. Used to terrorize everybody in sparring and whatever. Which is what I remember. I remember you going to tournaments and just literally petrifying everybody with your spirit and your attitude. Whereas all the other little kids were going, oh, take your bow and all that, and they were like frightened. You just cracked on and did it. So that's my major memory of you, as well as your physical attributes, of course. So
excuse me, my tea just went down the wrong.
Oh, bless you. So how did you
remember?
So obviously, I was talking to you earlier before the recording started, and I think you went to college in Bournemouth, moved from Blandford and went to college, and we didn't have any taekwondo down there. So I think you got involved in some shoot fighting and some stuff like that. Is that right?
That's right. Yes, I think near to my college there was a class up on the North Road or something, like up in Poole somewhere. There was like a school there, and one of my friends at college mentioned that there was a school of fighting arts. And at that time, shoot fighting and UFC was like starting to build up.
Yeah.
And so I remember thinking, oh, maybe this is something that will add to my kicks, my taekwondo. And it was close to the college, so it's very easy to go there. So yeah, I started training then with Phil Norman, And Phil Norman was the guy that was famous in our area, wasn't he, for the gladiators?
That's right.
So when I realized it was Phil Norman teaching in pool there, I was like, wow, this is quite a big opportunity, because that guy, I remember he had really lovely spinning kicks. I remember in the gladiator competition, and that really stood out to me. So I started training with him for about 2.5 years after I got my black belt with you.
Yes.
And so that led me to going to Thailand in September 1999. So I trained in Bournemouth and pool with Phil Norman in shoot fighting, JKD, and Thai boxing. And I was also cross-training boxing and judo, because by that point I'd realized when I got my black belt in Taekwondo that in reality on the street, especially at that age where I was like 18, is like I was a small guy, a small vegetarian guy with a single parent mother. And I felt when I went to the bars and the clubs, you know, going out and about, I felt vulnerable. I felt like I was a risk, because a lot of guys were a lot bigger and a lot more used to the adult world, and I wasn't. So I realized that if I really want to tailor my martial arts to give me the confidence that I need to really fight against guys bigger than me, I'm probably going to need to learn to wrestle and to box and to do some full contact. As scary as it was, I felt like that's the path I need to take in order to balance myself and to counter my fears and my insecurities at that time.
Well, it's interesting, Gwion, because not long after you left, and you went off to Thailand, and you had those thought processes, I'd always, because I'd studied judo when I was a kid, did a little bit of boxing, but obviously the taekwondo that I taught wasn't really, as you say, it wasn't applicable to the street. It isn't. It's not applicable. Everyone says it's the Korean art of self-defense, but it's not really. And it was in the early noughties, I went off and trained with in America and learned more of the self-protection side. I know you work or you're a big fan of Lee Morrison. Lee Morrison actually called me in the early noughties, and even then he was like a superstar in the field of self-protection. And he said, "Oh, Malcolm, I want to come do your course." And I was like, "What?" I was like taken aback, because he was like a superstar, and he said, no, you've taught from the best there is in adrenal stress training, and you brought it back to the UK. I want to learn from you. And I was really humbled. And obviously, so my journey has evolved massively, and it's running in parallel to yours. So that's fantastic.
So interesting. So at the same time, we were going down a similar pathway of questioning of pressure testing. Then I think
exactly. And I know Phil was doing that at the time. I know that's what Phil was into. He was doing a lot of pressure testing and what have you. And now he's got his ghost system, which is all over the world. It's incredible.
Yes.
So I know you used to compete in those days of Taekwondo, but did you compete? I think you competed. Is that right? I think you did some Thai boxing. Is that right?
Yeah. So what I did after getting my black belt and moving to and going to college and spending most of my time in Bournemouth and pool and training with Phil Norman in the Thai boxing at the Bulldog Gym there with your good friend Carl, isn't it?
Yeah, with Carl Sams.
Carl Sams, that's right. So I went to his gym. I trained with him and Trevor Ambrose as well, because they were quite close with Phil Norman and his guys. And so they're all really in the same little circle. So around that time, I think after 1.5 years of training with Phil, I think my dedication and my daily, because every day I was at that time, I think I left college early and I got a job in some printing company, like being the printer boy. And so what I would do is on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, I'd be training with Phil Norman, and at the weekends, I'd be training at the Bulldog. So all day, every day at work, I'd be doing the shadow boxing of everything I'd learned. And so I was just training all day, every day. I became so obsessed, and all I ever wanted to do was train. And after about 1.5 years, Phil Norman decided that it was time for me to pressure test. And he'd been competing in sports jiu-jitsu, which was like Taekwondo standing, but then you had judo takedowns and you had 30 seconds of randori on the floor as well. So it was very much judo and Taekwondo combined. So I competed in that. Nearly got my ear ripped off. I remember the guy got me in a really tight headlock, really tough Pakistani boy from Leeds. But I managed to get through to the semi-finals. I think I got bronze or something in the end. I can't remember. I did 2 fights. So I competed in sport jiu-jitsu, and I also competed in, do you remember Lee Hasdale's total fight forum? I competed in that to fight in the rings on the British team, and I got taken out by the winner, Mr. Michael Gregory, who was a JKD guy under Danny Inosanto. He was one of the first Machado black belts in the UK.
Oh, okay.
And at that time, he was training in the States most of the time, very dedicated martial artist under the Danny Inosanto lineage. And so I lost to him. He went on to win. But I nearly beat him. I nearly had him in, I took him down. I had some really good position. He got me in an armbar, I think, in the end. Yeah, at that time. So I competed in that. I've competed in sports jiu-jitsu. And then when I came to Thailand, I competed in professional Thai boxing here.
That's right.
I only had, how many fights in the end? It was like 6 professional fights, and I had like 2 that were a bit more like unofficial and like kind of a sketchy bar kind of thing, and gym fight. So yeah, I did that. And I also competed in Vale Tudo, Malcolm, in 2001 before MMA. Yeah, so I became Thailand's first no holds barred fighting championships and beat a couple of guys in an 8-man tournament in one day, and that was good.
So what do you put that down
yeah,
to?
so a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so what do you, I mean, you know, that's something that was obviously innate in you. You said, as we all did, our hero was Bruce Lee. We wanted to be like him. But that's a pipe dream for 99.9% of people. You actually went on and you've done it. So how do you motivate yourself? How did you motivate yourself, and how do you continue to motivate yourself now as a older, you know?
Great question. There's a lot I'd like to say.
You only look about 20.
Oh, thank you so much. 42, 43 this year. I think what it was, Malcolm, was a matter of survival, to be honest. In Thailand, there's no job seekers benefits. There's no securities. There's nothing. You rely on your wits. You rely on your balls and your word, you know, as a reality. There's no one here. So I knew that in my life, to be happy, I had to do something I enjoyed. I love martial arts. So I asked myself, how can I make a living as a martial artist? What can I do to make a living? The Thai boxing, the money wasn't enough. It was enough to pay rent, but it wasn't enough to live a good life. So I think the drive in me was that, look, I've got to do whatever it takes to survive. So that pure, raw survival instinct of I've got to find a way to make money was the thing that really pushed me and made me be positive, in the sense that I created opportunities when there were none. So really what happened, how I got into the movies, was I had a Thai boxing fight in 2001, and I'd had quite a few fights up to that point where I had won and I'd had knockouts. But in that fight, I fought a guy quite a bit bigger than me, Paul Lumpur. And okay, he wasn't bigger than me. He was my size, but he looked it, and he was really experienced guy. And I got knocked out in the 3rd round with knees. And really, my brain was a bit rattled. I couldn't speak properly for a few days. And I decided after that fight that I love fighting and I love martial arts and I'm a good fighter, but I felt like it was quite ugly. I felt like real combat is quite ugly. All you need is low kicks. You need aggression, you need raw athletic strength, you need athletic abilities, you need spirit, you need cardio, and you need really, really powerful strikes in every limb, in every range. But to be honest, I don't find reality fighting to be pretty at all. And I'm good at it. I'm good at beating people up. I'm good at ground and pound. I'm good at that. I can bite, I can grapple, I can wrestle, I can kick you in the head. I can do all of that, but it wasn't pretty. So I think I decided, Malcolm, after enough fights and after enough training of running and skipping and pad work and all of that and all the injuries, I decided that I wanted to make my living doing martial art movies. And the reason I had that thought was when I was in Bangkok, I did see that there were sometimes opportunities. I had an opportunity basically to cast with Yuen Wu Peng, who was the director, the fight choreographer for the Matrix movies. Some of the best action films you've ever seen are being choreographed by Yuen Wu Peng and his team. So I'm trying to tie up 2 things for you here. Number one, my motivation was I had to survive. I had to find a way. So I would fight. Then I realized after 2 years of fighting in Thailand, there wasn't enough money and it's really damaging to your health. And it's not pretty, you know, it's not beautiful. Although it is beautiful to beat someone convincingly, it's not something you can use in the movies, honestly, that kind of a combat. And so I think when I was, if I can go back a little bit, my first 6 months in Bangkok, I ran out of money after 3 months. I didn't have any money left, and my ticket to fly back to England was going to go, but like in a few days, but I didn't want to go back. I decided I wanted to stay here because I felt like I could make more of a life for myself in Thailand than I could back in England, where it's quite hard as a martial artist. You have to work 9 to 5 and squeeze it in the evening. It's hard to get enough time for dinner, let alone a girlfriend and a social life. So I didn't want to go back to that life. I wanted to be a full-time martial artist. So what happened was, how did it happen? I got spotted walking down the road by some gay guy, and the gay guy, really rich, well-dressed gay guy. And he basically said, would you be interested in doing a fashion shoot? And I said, yeah. And I did a fashion shoot for this magazine, GM magazine. And in the pictures in the magazine were really good. I was really surprised. And so I used those pictures to present myself to the modeling agents here in Bangkok. And from that, they knew that I did martial arts and Thai boxing. And then I think one evening, I got a phone call from one of my agents from Red Modeling. He said, hi, Gwion, I've got an opportunity for you have you heard of the Black Mask with Jet Li? It's like, yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of Jet Li. I love Jet Li. He says, well, they're doing Black Mask Part 2. Jet Li's not in it, but we need stunt guys. So would you be interested in going for the casting? So I was just so excited. I couldn't believe it. And did some shadow boxing to get ready or whatever. And I went to the casting, met Yuen Wu Peng. His stunt team were there, like the Shaolin monk with Shaolin monk outfit. And I had to show him what I could do. But unfortunately at that time, because I was training as a real fighter, when you're a real fighter, you don't really do beautiful technique. You just do messy shadow boxing. So it wasn't enough to impress him. And he wanted me to do a choreographed fight scene, which I did quite well. But the thing was, at the end, you had to take the hit and do like a flip full on the floor. And I did it, but I hurt my back. So to make a long story short, I knew I needed to make a living doing something I enjoyed. Thai boxing wasn't enough, but I love martial arts. I knew I could make a living doing martial arts movie in Bangkok if I could get good at stunt falls and movie choreography. And so I didn't get the job with Yuen Wu Peng, which would have been about £500 a day. But what I did get was a Thai stunt guy saying, hey, you're really good. If you train, come and train with me, then we can turn you into a good stuntman. So that gave me the idea that I could do it. So after I got beaten in that fight, Malcolm, I realized the next day, with a bit of being punch drunk and tired of that kind of training of running up hills every day, it's like, you know what? I'm going to go into the movie business, the stunt business, and I'm going to study acting, and I'm going to go back to Bangkok. I'm going to call that stunt guy, and I'm going to do that. And that was it. That was my beginning. And
you've actually, what people don't know, and it wasn't on your reel, was you starred in Bangkok. Was it Bangkok Adrenaline?
That's right, Malcolm. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Yeah, I've seen it. I saw it online.
Oh, okay.
A bit of a dicey accent, I have to say, but
yes. I got some shit. I got some flack for that. Yeah, it sounded like Hugh Grant. Yeah. So that came about 3 years later.
Yeah, no, it's very impressive.
3 or 4 years later. Yeah. So I went.
So sorry. So within your, I'm so excited to ask you. My hero, who's still alive, obviously it was Bruce Lee, but next best is Jackie Chan, and apparently you've worked and met and worked with him.
Yes.
Can you tell us some stories? I'm just so jealous.
Yes.
So jealous.
Okay, so I went back to Bangkok after that Thai boxing fight, like a bit humbled, you know, realizing that Thai boxing's no joke. These guys are real tough, you know, and I could be a champion if I wanted to, but the effort it would take would be immense, and you're not going to have much of a brain left after it. So I went back to Bangkok, and I was doing modeling, Malcolm. I got really good at modeling. I got quite a lot of jobs modeling. But then one day, I was reading the Bangkok Post, having breakfast in my apartment, and in the Bangkok Post at the back was an advert for martial artists, a wanted advert for martial artists, wow, which is like 1 in a million. I've never seen that ever since, and never before. And it didn't say anything, but people with martial arts skill, we have an opportunity for you. So I went to this condominium. It turns out it was a movie. Turns out they're looking for stunt guys. I got through the first round, got through the second, and I got through the third round. And but we didn't know what movie it was. We didn't know details. We just did what we were told to do. So in the end, I got the call that, hey, you got the job. And my first movie, I didn't really know what to expect. So I turned up at the set on the first day, and there was about maybe 15 to 20 other stunt guys from around the world. And there was like another 5 guys from England that were there as well. One guy, Malcolm, that I met in the TAGB.
Not Mike Lambert.
championships.
Was it Mike Lambert?
Not Mike Lambert. I never met him, and I've still never met him. But his name was Daniel O'Neill. He was my age. He lived in Coventry, and he competed in TAGB, and he was one of my rivals. Really good, really talented guy. Amazing, Daniel O'Neill. But I don't think he got his black belt in the end.
Okay.
So I think he left before that. But
Right.
but I met him. So anyway, it turned out on set that it was a Jackie Chan movie called The Medallion. And on the second day, Jackie Chan walked past. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, it's Jackie Chan. And you know what though? I'm not sure if I should say this.
No, go on, say it.
Okay, basically, Jackie Chan has stunt doubles. And it wasn't Jackie Chan. I thought it was Jackie Chan, and I saw his face. It wasn't. It was a Korean guy called Mr. Lee. They call him Mr. Lee. So I met Jackie later on that day. But the point being that Jackie does have some stunt doubles. Oh, no.
That's okay. I won't tell anyone.
I think, everyone who's in the business knows that, but maybe for the viewers, we don't know that. But it's not because they do his stunts necessarily, but they do the shots where you don't see his head, so he can, relax and do other things. So 3 or 4 days on set, I didn't do anything. Like none of us did anything. We were just hanging around. And some of the guys were like muscle builder guys, and they were showing off, doing pull-ups and taking their top off on set and trying to get people's attention. And Sammo Hung was the director. He was the fighting director on that movie. So it was Sammo Hung, Jackie Chan, and loads of famous martial arts people that I met. The whole stunt team were quite famous. You would recognize them all, Mr. Nicky Lee, lots of them. And on the third day, about 5 in the afternoon, everyone was bored, miserable. We'd been there since early in the morning. We'd not done everything. But for me, I'd kept myself fresh. Like I always do positive affirmations. Like I am confident, I am relaxed, I am happy, I am lucky. I was doing that, and I was making sure I was staying fresh and staying alert. Where all the other stunt guys were getting annoyed, they were getting bored, they were getting tired. And I think that's where my opportunity came, Malcolm. They called us into the private room of Sammo Hung and Jackie Chan, and they lined us up, 10 guys. Jackie Chan was there, like looking at us, going, which one? And he pointed at me, and I looked over my shoulder, like thinking something. I looked back, and he's like, yeah, you, come here. And he measured. I'm the same height as him, but I tell you one thing, Malcolm, he's very broad. His shoulders and his head is very big. He's big boned, so he looks small, but he's actually a big guy. And he said, yeah, you, and he chose me and one other guy. And got rid of everyone else. And that was it for 25 days, me with the Jackie Chan stunt team, learning how to do stunts. Wow. I did a small fight with him, learning how to use wires, learning how to do reactions, learning how to be patient, and learning how to work without sleep, under pressure, with the lights. Yeah.
So that kind of brings me round to one of the questions that one of my students asked. They said, have you ever met any of your heroes, and did they come up to your expectation? Obviously, Jackie was a huge hero for you.
Yes. So what can I say? I'll be honest with you guys, because you're my first master, and I respect you the most. Like, you're very dear to me. So I'll be honest to you and all your team, that I find Jackie to be quite aggressive. Like, he'd shout at people, like his whole stunt team, the way they talk. But I found out, I think it's just the Hong Kong dialect. I think Hong Kong Cantonese is quite like aggressive. It seems like they're arguing and shouting, and like Jackie shouting at everyone, but actually it's not really. It's just the way they are, it's like the way they talk to each other. So what I would say is this: Jackie Chan loves his stunt team. He's a very loving man, very kind man. He was very kind to me, but he loves women, and he really loves women. So every day, busloads of Japanese girls would come to set to see him. And so I know every evening he would have his women that would go back with him. So the kind of guy he is a playboy. He's a man's man. He's a leader. But at the same time, he's very tender and kind. So there was a time I remember I'd been on set for 2 days dead on the floor. Like, I'm the first guy to die. Jackie kicks the door open, and there's 2 guys stood there, like me and my friend Josh, who's also a Taekwondo black belt. Jackie charges in. I throw a punch. He blocked to grab me. My friend punches. He grabs him, picks us up, throws us through the air like on wires, and we're dead on the floor. So for the next 25 days, Malcolm, I'm lying on the floor as a stunt guy. So really, as a stunt guy, a lot of the time it's about waking up early, about being compatible, getting along with people when you've not slept very well.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I'm telling you this is because after 2 days of lying in the dirt on the floor, like, they were even telling me, like, don't breathe, because you can see you breathing on the floor. Like, you got to pretend like you're dead. But I would just be on the floor, like, looking up one eye, trying to look at the choreography, because there was 4 guys against Jackie. So watching Jackie block one kick, duck another kick, roll under, do 2 punches and come back, and all of this going on in a tape. So I was there watching with one eye. And then I remember at about 11:30 in the morning, Jackie came over to me and he tapped me on the back. I was lying on the floor and said, hey, you, come on. I was like, hey, Jackie. And he was really sweet and lovely and said, hey, how are you? I'm like, okay, I'm okay, a bit dirty. He's like, hey, go get coffee. Go on, go get a coffee. So he was loving to me. Then every day he made a point to bring me back every day and pay me cash every day. So, so he's a very loving, kind man, but he's tough.
From what I know, and that's how he started. He was on the set of Enter the Dragon, wasn't he? And Bruce Lee did exactly the same to him as Jackie had done to you. You know, Bruce Lee was very kind to him. He was very kind. You know, he appreciated all his stunt team. You know, but it was the same thing. It was interesting you said about the dialogue, because Bruce Lee would shout at them. I think, as you said, it's just that Cantonese thing. You know, they talk very, very fast and very aggressively. But he cared deeply about all his team. And Jackie's obviously done the same with guys who he respects.
Yes. So he really respects us martial arts guys. So, but there is an agenda with the Chinese guys that they don't want to give us guys the respect that we can do what they can do, because they're trained in Wushu. So they're trained from a young age in the Peking opera dance choreography, and a lot of sensitivity drills, you know, the push hands and all of that kind of stuff. So it really lends towards being able to dance with your partner rather than fighting with your partner. But whereas Western guys are more about speed, power, jab, cross, kick, spin kick, jump kick, whereas those guys are more about flow and rhythm and beats. And so they do give us a hard time for that. But if Jackie finds someone that can keep up it with his rhythm even a little bit, then he appreciates that. And he'll acknowledge that. But there's not many guys, to be honest, at that level. So what I found, Malcolm, was that a lot of guys in England that were really passionate martial artists like me and like Daniel O'Neill, a lot of us, we left England to follow our dreams, especially when a lot of people saw Tony Jaa in Ong Bak. So what happened was, after me being in Bangkok for 5 or 6 years and establishing myself as quite a well-known model here and an actor as well, a lot of English guys came to Thailand, and we all started training with each other. And then after Ong Bak, this was after Ong Bak, there was a big renaissance here in Thailand and in Asia in general of lots of movies. So I ended up having a lot of opportunity. Every month there'd be a new movie. So all of this happened because of brave people that were brave enough to get a ticket to Thailand or to Hong Kong, go without any plan, without much money. Like I had £700, you know, and that ran out after a month. And so basically the ones of us that had the balls, that had the drive, the fire to leave England and to go somewhere where they need it. So you don't need to be the best, you just need to be there. And you need to show willingness to learn and humility. And so there was about 15 of us that have done really well. And a lot of us have become quite famous. And my best friend here, Brahim, is now one of Jackie Chan's top go-to guys. And he's been in the last 5 or 6 movies of his now.
Wow.
So, and because he's my best friend, you know, I get a lot of opportunities through the people that we've grown up together through this cutthroat business. So I'm in a position now where I have a little bit of authority and a little bit of leadership and a lot of experience. So I really want to pass that on to you guys and your students, but it's just because there's so much I can say about it.
Yeah,
you know, it might take a couple of interviews to get to the nitty gritty.
Yes.
A bit more generalized at the moment.
Well, I mean, that's what I'd like to do, because, you know, we are going to run out of time at any moment soon. We've got about 5 minutes left. So I would like to do this again, sir. Definitely, most definitely. And I know all the guys will be going, like that. They'll be like, their jaw will have dropped. All the stories you've told, that's amazing. And all the experience you've got to share. Because I want to talk to you about your work as a life coach. I want to talk all about that, which is kind of martial art related, but not. You know,
I think of it as a martial art, actually, life coaching,
yeah,
but it's a
yeah.
martial art for life, because we can't fight everything, can we? We know him as a salesman as well. You can't fight to get the sale. You have to align with.
Yes.
So it's like, as martial artists, we have to expand our repertoire into other arenas. And so that's where life coaching comes in. So life coaching is a martial art.
Yes.
That's the way I frame it. Yeah.
It's really funny. I did an interview, obviously with the lockdown and stuff. I put an interview, again, a cliche from Bruce Lee, and I put the art of fighting without fighting. We've been here for 6 weeks now, and I hardly see anybody. I go to the supermarket once every 2 weeks, maybe, and that's all I do. I see my neighbors, and that's it. I don't see any of my students. Online, I do.
Yeah.
And I just made this video, and everyone saw, oh my God, this is brilliant. Because it's doing martial arts without doing martial arts. How you live your life, how you can be courteous to people, how you can use your integrity. The old tenets of Taekwondo: courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, indomitable spirit. Those things are huge.
Yes. So learning to apply those principles, because you trained me so well. And what I wanted to say in the beginning, when you mentioned about Dick before we went online, is that you were a very strict teacher in the 80s. You came from the old school karate background, didn't you? So, you know, I would get in trouble, push-ups galore, knuckles, adult class, get in trouble all the time for not being disciplined. So you gave me that really strong foundation, team spirit, but those tenets of Taekwondo, you were always very strict on our theory. So those have lived with me ever since, Malcolm. And I think they're the backbone, the root of all of my success comes down to those tenets, and how I managed to use them and understand them in a practical way in other areas of my life, and use them as those tenets as my career as a life coach as well. So it's really, really powerful. So for all your students out there who maybe don't enjoy the theory side, I'd really encourage you to really delve into that and how you can expand on that and understand it in your own personal, unique way, because it's the fundamental. And what we think and the way we feel is almost more important than our skills as a martial artist. Because to be a great martial arts movie actor, you don't necessarily even have to have the best skills. You have to have the best people skills. And you have to be the best at dealing with adversity and lack of sleep and lack of food and all of these things. And, you know, so those tenets really, I think, at the end of the day, is what's kept me going for all this time and allowed me to achieve so much, you know, in these last.
That's amazing to hear, Gwion. Now, I know we will do another interview. I'll message you at another time. But one of my guys said, "Sir, can you ask him when is he going to come to Dorset? And if he does, can he do a seminar for us?"
Absolutely, 100%. I'm already planning it. I'll be back as soon as the airport's open. If they let me back, I'll be back. And just to let you guys know, as much as I love my life here in Thailand, I think with the whole situation at the moment happening, I think it's a good time for me to come back, take care of my mum, my brother, and reconnect with my roots. I've been away for a long time, and so my values have changed now. My values are very different. It's not about movies and money and who I can be, and you know, my reputation as a martial artist is important, but what's more important to me is my roots, my first teacher, you know, and my mom, my brother, my sister, everything that made me who I am. So I want to come home and I want to give back, and I want to create, I want to share everything I've learned in the last 23 years in Asia. So I'm there for you guys, and I'll be back.
We spoke last year, because I reconnected with you last year, because I think you were here, weren't you? I think you were in Dorset.
2 years ago, yes.
Oh, it was 2 years. Was it 2 years?
Summer.
And I think we reconnected then, and we had conversations on Facebook. I remember having them, not face-to-face ones, but on text and what have you. And saying, "Oh, you'd love to come and do some sort of business in the UK." And I said to you at the time, I said, "Well, listen, I can help you with that. You know, obviously being a UK martial art person and quite well known and well respected, could get you that sort of line into the UK that you wanted."
Right.
You know, so we could do that just via seminar, endorse it. It would be seminars all over the UK. So yeah, you know.
All right. Well, I'm 100% up for that, Malcolm. That'd be brilliant. And so I could put on a seminar specifically for Hong Kong or like action choreography. I can also provide, I mean, many different areas you have to have as a martial artist in the movie industry, because you have to be able to adapt to any different style for every different movie. So I really look forward to that, to sharing that with your students, and to sharing my knowledge and experience with some of the UK martial arts scene, which is one of the best places in the world for martial arts, I think.
Absolutely.
So really excited, Malcolm. I look forward to that.
Good man. Good man.
Yes.
Right,
exciting.
I'm going to have to say goodbye at the moment, sir. But we will do this as a part 2, and we'll talk about being a life coach, because that's something that very much interests me. And working with the adrenal stress, that's very much in the same mode about how to empower people. Empowerment is huge, and people think that self-protection is all about hitting and fighting and violence. It's not. It's about empowerment, and empowering people is the number one thing for everybody, and it's neglected.
Yes. So let's do that. Let's go more into that. And if there's any more like areas of interest that your students would like to know about, then I'm really, really, really happy to share everything that I've known and learned over these years. So
thank you, sir. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Okay.
Have a great day.
You take